Hey everyone, welcome back to week two. Do you like my sunglasses? Pretty cool. All right, so why am I dressed up like an American patriot, you ask? Great question, Estudiante. The answer is because this week we're digging into the roots of the American Revolution and also what transpired during the Revolution. So I know that we're conflating a lot of things in American history and American literature, but to be honest, we're moving through a lot of time really quickly. So we'll start this week with the Puritan community, a lot of their values, what they hold dear, and move into the Revolution. So for this era of literature, it's important to remember that the colonial history of America led to what many Americans interpreted as the oppressive rule of England. And you're going to get into a lot of that with these videos from Crash Course, especially the prelude to the American Revolution, colonial America. You'll see a lot of the injustices the Americans thought they had faced. So essentially, what happened is that England had to pay bills for this war it just fought. So what does it do? It raises taxes on the Americans, particularly the colonists, and they did not respond well to the demands, to say the least. And essentially, you had this game of kind of tit for tat going on, to where England was raising taxes higher, and Americans were getting more pushback. So your job this week is to investigate and understand this culture that gave rise to the revolution and respond to once radical and world-changing philosophies. And you'll see along these ideas of kind of the enlightenment and reason that are starting to occur here along with these particular values. And you're going to see that within the text. So you're going to get poems of Anne Bradstreet. If you click on that poem, you'll notice that there are linked poems in the article. So I want you to read about Anne Bradstreet. It's not a very long article. And then at the very bottom, you'll notice that there are some linked poems. There's only 12 of them that you need to read right there. Don't worry about going more. Just do those 12 in particular, unless you're just super interested and want to read that last one too, which I don't mind if you do. That one's kind of, it's interesting. Okay, so you'll read Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. So this is by a very famous minister known as Jonathan Edwards. This is something that kind of ushered in the Great Awakening. And you'll get this kind of flavor of Christianity at the time that brought about the Great Awakening, and something that you can respond to see if it's your interpretation of Christianity that you have now or not. You'll read Common Sense or Selections of It by Thomas Paine. And this is essentially a response to what England is doing to the Americans and the response that Americans should have. And lastly, the Declaration of Independence by Thomas Jefferson. So kind of evaluate all these things as you're reading them and see if you can discern what the philosophies and ideas are, the ways things that are progressing. You'll get a few more resources for background there that'll help you out. But all in all, obviously really famous texts. So your discussion board is very, very similar. After exploring the text and resources for the unit, explain how the key ideas from the text either reinforce or challenge your understanding of American history and the American Revolution. Simply, do these texts and resources present a picture of America you are familiar with? How so? And if not, how is it nuanced or how has it changed? You all did a good job in terms of the submissions thus far. So once you've identified these key ideas, analyze the values, philosophies, religious ideas, what types of worldview are the texts arguing for or against, and then once again, to conclude the composition, you must respond to the ideas of the particular literary era. What's your opinion of all this stuff? What do you think of old Thomas Jefferson and the Declaration of Independence? What's missing there? What do you think of Thomas Paine's Common Sense? What do you think of Jonathan Edwards? Give me your evaluation. And this is kind of a tricky part for a lot of you because I'm asking you to kind of let go of just the text itself and give me your ideas grounded in the text. I want to see how these ideas from this particular literary era of American history clash with your own modern ideas. Okay? And then if you're struggling or did not get a perfect 15 points for the submission last week, there's a couple things that I want you to do. Make sure that you look at the notes that I gave you for your grade for your last submission. If you got a perfect score, I might not have written anything, but if you did not get a perfect score, chances are that I gave you some notes on how you can improve. Also, make sure that you're looking at the midweek check-in from last Thursday. I've given you examples on what to do there, how to improve your writings, things that I like, things that I think might have been improved upon student submissions. That'll help you out a lot. Also, make sure that you look at that original message that I sent out with the directions for Google Hangouts. If you need specific one-on-one help, I'll be here from 12 noon to 2 p.m. every Monday through Friday. We can do video chats. Some of you like doing that to see this beautiful face. That's weird. Or we can just kind of text back and forth if you need that. There's also audio chat. You can do that too if you got crazy bedhead, or I don't care. So all those options are available to you. The last thing I want to do is just give you one more encouragement to make sure that you are very familiar with your project, right? So once again, these are all the authors of the primary text that we're looking at through class. So if you're reading something by one of these authors and you're thinking, man, this is really interesting, I'm really liking this, make sure that you start researching that author and giving some sort of expression, whether it's artistic, essay, the Instagram account, whatever it may be. Make sure you're doing those things. And at the bottom, I've given you all sorts of resources to help you out for the writing portions that you may have for your project. Right here, this will help you with research if you've forgotten how to do research. So use those links at your disposal. That'll really help you out. Look through the rubrics so you know what it is that I'm looking for. Understand that most of these project options, with the exception of the graphic novel, have a written portion that you have to put in MLA format. So please make sure you're reading through that. Understand what it is that you're looking for. What author do you want to do? And the key thing I want to focus on is just kind of the point of all the projects. How does your chosen author reflect the core beliefs and ideals of their time period? How do they respond to the significant historical and cultural elements of their day? And finally, what is your critical response to the author's writings and arguments? Okay? That's kind of the same thing in everything that we're looking for here, right? So you're looking for ways of expressing how this particular author is contextualized within their own cultural time period, especially for the Instagram posts as well. Think about these things. So you're going to craft 10 posts with detailed, well thought out captions and hashtags, capture the essence of the author, and reflect the cultural significance and writings of their ideas. Imagine your author as a product of the modern world. What TV shows are they watching? Do they have a political affiliation? Do they work out? What do they eat, read? Who do they hang out with? How would their life be illustrated on social media? Are they funny? Are they a troll? What kind of person would they be today? And then submit a 500-word MLA composition that explains each post, incorporating evidence from the writings of the author for each post. So you got to go back through those texts and maybe find other texts, find the words of those authors. It's fine to do this in the form of a list. Correlate each post with an attribute of the character, particularly the author, or reflection of the literary time period. Do not just fabricate a post that has your author watching The Office with no explanation or analysis as to why they would do so. I need to look at your Instagram post and say, this student really understands this author and they understand the cultural time period. Don't just throw something out there that has Ben Franklin being like, ugh, lightning and a key, right? Like that means nothing, right? You gotta help me understand how it's contextualized within the culture, okay? So just make sure that you're reading through all of these different forms that you can have for your project. Know what it is that you want to do. You may not have encountered an author that you really like yet, but start thinking along those lines. Okay, you all are awesome. I will send out another update with some encouragement and some help on Thursday, and I look forward to interacting with some of you during office hours.